What up, everybody? Welcome back to Turn Bark Time. I'm the Turn,
I'm the Bark.
and we have been here a long, long time. Oh, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back after a nice little hiatus, a little spring break, enjoying that. And then Barker got beat up by pollen a couple days ago or last week. So we're back here for another episode. Bark, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Hopefully, you've all filed your taxes
Yes, for the love
or
of love
filed
of
for
love.
an extension, or are moving to Barbados. So
Cayman
I'm
Islands.
lucky to be married to an amazing woman who did ours the other night.
Oh, well done. We got ours done in February, I think.
Tryhards.
I just wanted to know if I owed the government money like last year. I did not. They owed me money.
Huzzah.
Yeah, call it a win. But here tonight for season 7, episode 7, not 6, 7, but 7. And we're going to talk today about something. This is so when I took my bus tour in London, this is going all the way back to Thanksgiving of this year. We were on our bus tour, and it was the same. I think we told the story earlier. It's the same guy that we had like 2 or 3 years ago. He's from Minnesota. He married an English woman, right? And he comes out and gives bus tours, and he's a great guy to listen to. But he talked about an area when we crossed the River Thames, and he told a great story about an absolute environmental disaster in the summer of 1858 that has been called the Great Stink.
Gotta love the British euphemisms, I guess, that they come up with.
Yeah,
Um, I laugh because I teach world history, and this is part of the struggle of industrialization and the growth of cities is, do we have infrastructure that can support the your quaint little village is now a bustling town? What do you do?
build a
Um,
pub.
yes, lots of pubs.
Yeah.
The kids are like, why so many pubs? And I said, look around town. How many bars are there? Um, London has grown to a city of from 1800 to 1850. I think they say it's over 2.5 million people.
Yeah.
And so like there is some, oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Um, if you haven't quite figured it out, the problem was with the plumbing infrastructure in London. Um, there was some rudimentary sewer systems. They were only about 3 feet wide, I think they said.
Right.
And you have to understand that everything is pretty much, there is no water treatment plants. Everything
No.
just goes down a
Shoot. Pipe.
chute, yeah, pipe into a slightly bigger pipe, and then eventually ends up in the River Thames.
Yep.
And what happened in 1858 is they experienced a bit of a heat wave. And so the water level in the River Thames evaporated, and the River Thames was running lower than it normally did, which meant the amount of human waste as well as other
Waste.
waste from a city that was all essentially just like methodology was essentially just chuck it in the river and like hopefully
It'll
stay
flow away.
upstream.
Yeah, it'll go
Yeah,
away.
which is why Seattle always talks bad about Tacoma.
Yeah.
Um, but it got so bad, and I laughed because the first thing that I read, it said that they had weeks of temperatures over 30 degrees centigrade. Like it was like unbearable.
Right.
30 degrees centigrade is 86 degrees.
It is. It is not
So
terrible.
they did say for a stretch it was in the 90s and it got up to as high as 118,
Oh, okay. So
which
yeah, in the 40s.
118 in Britain, like if 118 on the west side, like people would die.
Yeah, they would literally die. And
But go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, so with the water evaporation level, right, the pipes that would normally push directly in the river were there was no water, so the stuff was falling onto the shore, but no water to take it downstream.
Well, and if it's submerged in water, it helps hold in the stank.
Yeah.
And when it's open to the air, it becomes more odoriferous.
Oh, good word. You're ready for the
Um, I
SAT.
think they said that like members and like even in Parliament, like they pushed through legislation like
Yeah.
way faster than sewage was going through the pipes.
Yep.
Um, and they were talking about people like soaking their curtains in I think was it lime,
Yeah. Just
to
anything
try and
that
kill the smell. And they also dumped 200 to 250 tons of lime into the River Thames to just try and kill the stench.
didn't do it.
Um, and so like the big reason, like outside of like the obvious odor problem, because I mean, there was a new facility in the Mint Farm area that is a has something to do with like reclaiming garbage or something. Maybe I think it might make gas or something from the garbage.
Okay. Right.
But when they fired it up, it smelled like
Garbage.
poo. It smelled like poo on the west end of town for a good number of days. Like in addition to we're quite normal to the mill smell of paper mills. And people are like, no, this ain't that. This is
Yep.
something different. And so they came out and they said, hey, we're going to take care of it. It's going to be a few more days, like our bad. But just to think about, like, it's already super, super warm.
Right.
And the stench is essentially, they're saying it was like causing people to like faint.
Yeah.
It was so strong.
I mean, oh, God. Nope. Nope. Good.
Like, and during this time period, like people thought that the leading thought of like what caused cholera and typhoid, which are both um, sicknesses that you get from drinking or eating contaminated food or water.
Yep.
Right. It's the age old thing that happened like at Valley Forge where like the latrines were too close to the drinking water. You shouldn't be flushing and drinking from the same water supply. They thought it was called by the vapors, by the miasma, essentially that bad stench caused sickness
Mm.
was the theory at the time. This is before germ theory was like accepted. And so they thought just because if there was stank, you were going to get sick.
Yep.
Which I mean, there's a fair association with stank and getting sick, but it's not the actual causal factor.
Correct.
And I thought it was interesting. The guy who figured it out, his name is Jon Snow.
Uh,
Not that Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, but
uh,
everybody told him, you know nothing, Jon Snow.
yeah.
Cholera outbreaks had happened numerous times in London, killing like thousands of people per outbreak. And like they were trying to figure out what the problem was. And they would think that it was like, well, it's filth, right? There's just too much garbage around. And if we
Mhm.
cleaned up the filth, then things got better. But in reality, what they were doing is they were actually cleaning up the water sources.
Right. And
And
then
so
allowed
in
it to be
1854 on Broad Street in Soho, there's this cholera outbreak. And Jon Snow goes there and he notices that the only people in the community that aren't getting sick are guys that work at a beer brewery. Because while they're at work, they only drink beer.
yep.
And he postulates that because the beer is being, oh man, fermented,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, through the alcohol making process, that's actually killing any of the potential
Bacteria in the
bacteria that would make people sick. That he starts coming to the idea that there's got to be something in the water that's causing people to get sick. I just love that it was brewers
right.
that
That
were,
that save everybody.
yeah, that, well, but like Jon Snow actually dies in 1858.
Right.
And like his like support of germ theory isn't really recognized until after the fact.
Hmm.
But Britain has to do something. And
Yeah.
so they hire an engineer, John uh Galizet, or sorry,
Basil, basil, yeah.
Bazalgette, um, to construct this new massive sewer system.
Right. And the crazy part, like you said, Parliament's passing laws. Uh, Parliament passes a bill in a record 18 days to fund the sewer system. Like that's how bad it smells out here. And if you've been to London, you know that the Parliament House or Parliament, I should say, is right next to the River Thames. Like right next to the River Thames. So, so yeah, so John Basilton gets it. And his job it's a monumental task because London, like Barker said, is up to around 3 million people for the time. And the other thing that I thought was interesting about this was flush toilets actually made the problem worse.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I thought it would help. It did not.
So one of the things that they do, they decide they need to actually build a more robust, like these little dinky, less than a meter wide pipes aren't going to move along the problems. And I guess it's really foreign to me because living here in Longview and I'm living in Quincy, like there's not those towns, both towns aren't super huge and probably don't
Right.
require as much infrastructure. And when I think about like, we're talking about they're now going to have sewers, I think that are like 3 meters wide, right? So now you're talking about what, 3 meters, 3 by 3,
9 feet.
like 10 feet wide. You know what I mean? And so like I think I started thinking about things like you see in like Ninja Turtles and like it.
Yeah, where they like, yeah, can crawl around.
Well, you're not crawling around, you can walk around, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
completely unstooped and whatever. But they add 81 miles of sewer. And then they created another, I think it was another 1,100
100
miles
miles.
of street sewers,
Yep.
which tried to create better systems to take advantage of like just gravitational like drop of water
Right.
and to like try and pool water more efficiently to like wash stuff down into the sewers.
Yep.
But the thing about the sewers is that they actually like had to figure out how to get they actually had to create pumping stations where they could pump sewage like uphill, get it up, and so they could dump it out the east end of London,
Yeah.
which was the one part of the city where they did not get like this project, the Great Sewer Project didn't like quite reach.
Right.
And it does suffer from, I think it's in the 60s, the 1860s. There's another massive cholera outbreak, but it's only like 93% of the victims of them are from the East End
And
because that's where they don't have the sewer infrastructure. And it's just something that we take for granted
yeah.
living in a modern society that I like we don't think about like chamber pots and like,
No.
we're not peeing in a bucket and like tossing it out the window and hoping that the
Yeah.
rain washes it into the gutter.
Right. No. Not at all. Yeah. The other part was like they had to reclaim land from the river too to do this. Like they had to build the embankments to make it. It says Victoria, Albert, and Chelsea embankments, which kind of rough for Queen Victoria, right? Like and her husband, that they're getting named for embankments on the river. But hey, go for it. So, and again, yeah, they get that lift. The what is it, the Abbey Mills and Cross Ness is what I have for the pumping stations. The
Yeah, well,
cathedrals of sewage, as they are called.
yeah, and the purpose of the embankments was to actually narrow the Thames to increase the flow of the river so it would actually push poo and
Further. Yeah.
refuge, like push garbage like down the river faster. Because
Right.
essentially, like if it's not going fast enough, it'll settle.
Yeah.
Um, I guess in the words of the cranberries, do you have to let it linger?
Yeah.
Um,
Jesus, Mark.
so it's just kind of one of these interesting things where like I came across this. You mentioned it. I had read it in a book. I apologize, my computer ate my notes, but
Yep.
I had read it in a book about epidemics, is where I first came across it in Pathogenesis. So
Okay.
it's the history of the world in 8 plagues by Jonathan Kennedy.
Mhm.
And so in there, he talked about this idea that when these sewer systems first started being implemented, it wasn't this like kind and benevolent, oh, we're taking care of the city and providing better
Yeah. No.
health. Like he's like, they really only cared because one, it smelled bad, and
Right.
two, like the workforce that works in your factory is getting sick and can't come to work, so I can't make money.
Correct.
So like again, I get accused of being kind of an economic pessimist when I look at history. I'm like
What?
everything's about turning profit and making money.
What? No.
If the data's there, man, if the shoe fits, wear it. So I thought that was another interesting kind of like take to put on it. And they kind of talk about these early medical researchers, like the guy who figured out that like milkmaids getting cowpox don't catch smallpox. So like he tested it on like one of his workers' kids. Is that ethical?
No.
Probably not.
No.
But like we figured it out. Like, not saying we should be Machiavellian about research, but like at a time when like they didn't understand stuff,
Yeah.
or they
Well,
didn't
I was
understand like
freaking,
germ
yeah.
theory.
Well, I'm trying to test that theory. Uh, Put a pin really quick in this. Bark, did you see when the sewer system is actually completed, though? When his project is done?
I did not catch that.
So this happens in, I believe, 1858. The project finishes in 1875.
Well, it's pretty immense when you think
Yeah,
about
it
it.
is. Well, if you, that's what I'm saying. Like, just for the 1,100 miles of street sewer, and then I think you said, did you say 91 or 92 or no, 81 or 82 miles?
80, yeah, 81 or 82 miles.
Yeah, and so it's like you think about like it's the 1800s to build that and to move that. And I think I read somewhere it was like 318 million bricks
Yes,
to
yes,
build
that's
that,
the
and it's just
that's
like
the stat.
yeah, and it took them less than 20 years to do that without modern equipment. Like that's
But
that's pretty impressive.
right, and to think about like the funding, like nobody questioned that funding. It was like, no, we need this
Yep.
infrastructure. And I mean, that's one of those things that as cities grow and as we modernize and things happen, like it's one of the things that people have been saying for I feel like 20 years in America is that we need to focus on infrastructure or else we're gonna, our bridges are gonna fail. And
Well, and we're a unique country in and of itself that we're so large, in a grand scheme of things. Like you need that infrastructure if you want to keep the country together. Like you have to have the bridges, you have to have the I mean I think you and I have talked about it before where it's like, man, could you imagine if we had a rail system like Europe and like what that would do for our country and being able to move people and stuff
well,
and
I mean,
change.
it's interesting. Like even with what it is right now, like I talking with kids at school, like some of them actually ride the Amtrak. Like if they go to a Mariners game or a Seahawks game, they just take the Amtrak from Longview or
Yeah,
Kelso
right.
and ride it up there because it's well for if they're under 18, it's free.
Oh, nice.
So they can they pay nothing. And like think about like how much do we pay in parking every time we go to a sporting
Oh,
event up there? You know what
well,
I
I mean,
mean?
when I had Seahawks tickets, like it was you were paying an extra 400 a year to park at that, and it was a great parking spot. Like, don't get me wrong, but like you drive anywhere close to the stadium, you're gonna pay $80. So
Yeah. And to think about like this sewer system is like still like the foundation of the modern sewer system in London.
it is. It hasn't been the stat I saw in the London or the London Museum, the British Museum, one of the two, London Museum, said that they broke ground in 2016 for a bigger tunnel, a sewer tunnel. So you figure from 1875 to 2016, you were good with your sewer system. Like it's pretty well built.
Yeah. And I just like I think about it because like we did the Seattle Underground tour and they talked about like one of the problems for like Seattle doesn't have a river that runs through it. Everything just went into the sound, but the sound is affected by tidal pressures. And so sometimes when you would go to flush a toilet, instead of flushing the water down, the
Yep.
water pressure from the tide actually flushed the toilet up, which is a
Really unfortunate.
really crappy situation. Um, but
Yep.
so
Anyway,
just one of those things that we take for granted, right? It kind of goes like hand in hand with our episode on toilet paper, like things that
yeah, you just don't think about
you don't think about it as a necessity,
until
and
it's a
like
necessity.
was just looking. The sewer system served as the hideout for Professor Ratigan in Walt Disney's The Great Mouse Detective.
Such an underrated film. Such an underrated film.
That bat was freaky.
That bat terrified me.
Yes, he did.
Oh man. But the cat was the one that got me all the time. The cat freaked me out. Ugh.
So, I mean, just kind of an interesting thing to think about. Like, right? You had this situation where, and I mean, I've also been to my Tara and I had the opportunity to go to Petra in Jordan
Right?
and see Roman era roads that had a sewer system built underneath it. So, like, it's just really interesting to think about like people as far back as right like before common era
Right.
understood that like
Waste needed to go somewhere.
waste needs to go somewhere outside the city.
Yeah.
um and I think at times like think about it, like how many times a year do you see a city in America, modern America, that has a hey, you need to boil your water
Yeah.
precaution because
Yeah.
something went wrong and the water got contaminated with sewage. And so if you want to make sure that people don't get, if you don't want to die of Oregon Trail diseases,
Yeah. Good
you got to
Lord.
boil your water.
Oh my God.
Sorry, that's what I always think about, like
We played it in the
cholera and
class the other day.
typhoid.
Yeah, we played it in class the other day. We did and kids are like, "What's dysentery?" And I was like, "Dysentery means you're gonna go to the bathroom to death." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty rough."
Yeah, trying to explain to them, it's like, yeah, you're essentially gonna, your body's gonna try and flush your intestines until you dehydrate,
And then you die.
and then you die of dehydration.
I did
You
make
know,
your crappy joke during that time though. I said that was a pretty crappy way to die. So,
indeed, indeed.
ugh. All right.
So
We wrapped this one up early.
we did. I mean, it's
There's not a lot. Yeah, I know. But we have time to, ooh, bad angle. New merch. Barker did a fantastic job, right? Stickers available. I was hoping to be wearing the sweatshirt. Sweatshirt has not come yet. Really excited about it. Barker's principal has a mug, vice principal.
assistant principal. So shout out Miss Griffiths. She bought one of our she has a Turnbark Time coffee mug that she's been parading or like showing around campus, and then kids are like, "What's that?" Because I don't push our channel super hard because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Um,
I have the license plate you got me just hanging up and then every now and then kids ask about it. And yeah, it's really fun. If you're feeling super lucky, we also have this one available. This is Barker. This is one of the best things Barker's ever made. One of our tens of fans. Feel free. You parade this sticker around. So Mr.
also,
Scooter MZ is sporting one currently.
also, also that design is also available in a t-shirt, a nice bright pink t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
So if you're one of our tens of fans that has one of those shirts, because I think we sold a handful of them,
Did we really? That's
I
fantastic.
yes, I'm fairly confident that one potentially could be. There's probably one in Colorado, going to Colorado, be
Okay.
my guess. Maybe one at the University of Washington, maybe one at Grand Canyon.
All right, there we
I'm
go.
not sure. I'm really interested to see. So if you are you bought one of the tens of fans t-shirts, we would
Please
love for
tag
you
us.
to
Tag
send
us in
that
a
to us
photo.
on Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. We do have a topic for next week too. We are going to be on board for that. My brother gave us this topic. We are going to be discussing the origins and the outcome of the 17th Amendment to the United States Constitution. No more details other than that, but my brother asked about it. He listens every now and then, those late nights in the orchard when you have to run the wind machines to keep the trees from dying. So maybe he'll give this one a listen to. So
they don't do it like they did in the Walk in the Clouds, where like they have the little butterfly wings and the torches.
no, they did
You know what
not.
I'm talking about?
I
Keanu
do.
Reeves.
Yeah,
That
I
was a
know.
great film. Great film.
Great film. Underrated film.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
underrated things. Underrated topic tonight.
yes, really. I feel like we should do maybe that should be a topic sometime. Things we consider underrated. We could have fun with that.
Underappreciated things.
Yes. Yes, yes. I like it.
Mm.
Deep thought. All right. Well, Bark, anything else for the good of the order?
If you ever have a topic suggestion and you think that if you think that our picks stink as much as London did in 1858 and you think you can do better, please send us a message with what you would like us to talk about.
Absolutely.
We just ask that you keep it PG. We have not
Although
yet
your wife
quite
did suggest a turn bar time after dark, but
yet
that's
we have not quite decided to offer that to the disappointment of Mrs. Barker.
yeah.
So that is still
So
we're keeping things on the PG. My daughter, I don't mark our videos as made for kids. So my
um,
Addie, who's 9 with her YouTube kids, goes, Dad, I can't watch your videos. So
yeah.
trying to, I don't know. Guess we're
Could you us making a kid friendly version? I don't know how that would go. Yeah. Nope.
nope, nope,
All
nope.
right. Well, until next time, I'm the turn.
I'm the bark.
And we're going to be here for a long time. Have a good night, everybody.
Be safe.
And by golly, you be well.